Good morning and welcome to Conversations on the Block. I'm your host, Pat Robinson. Here we are, Tri-State. We are in the month where we celebrate Juneteenth. In the event you need a reminder, although you should not need a reminder, Juneteenth for the year of 2023 is celebrated and observed on Monday, June 19th. However, Juneteenth is the oldest known celebration honoring the end of slavery in the United States. On June 19, 1865, Union General Gordon Granger led thousands of federal troops to Galveston, Texas, to announce that the Civil War had ended and slaves have been freed. Today, I am very, very excited and honored to have a recurring guest and a new guest to the show. I want to welcome to the show hip-hop's principal and founder of BEU, which is Black Edu Influencers United, Dr. Shango Blake, and Keturah Hardy, who's the chair of Culture and Committee of BEU. And the reason that we're here today is because we're going to talk about the collectiveness of community-minded people who are deeply concerned about systemic racism, the disproportionality in education, and what we are doing right here in our communities to uplift the plight and the value of Black educators who are committed to effectively educating our Black children. Therefore, our vision is to serve Black educators, influence others, and impact children. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
Yes.
Wonderful. So Dr. Blake, let's start with you. Talk to us about what it means to celebrate in our communities for Black and Brown strength around Juneteenth, and then we're going to get into this wonderful event that's happening.
Oh, absolutely. So it's so important. You know, you had mentioned Juneteenth, and you gave a lot of history and background. And it's just another example of our history not being represented in the schools. There's so many people who didn't know about Juneteenth and are still learning about Juneteenth. And it always makes me wonder, like, you know, in such a diverse country as America, why don't we have Juneteenth celebrated? Why is a particular group of people being excluded from the curriculum? And so Juneteenth is, as you said, it started in Galveston, Texas. My mother, who grew up in Jefferson, Texas, which is right up the block from Galveston, celebrated it as a child. And I recall going into school and never having that experience validated. So as a community, whether or not the institutions validated, we validated as a people. And we're so thankful that last year it actually became a holiday.
That's right.
So now it is something that is being celebrated throughout the country. And I think that that's progress, but we can never take our eyes off the prize. We have to continue to push and use Juneteenth as a catalyst to teach Black studies and Black curriculum and all those great things.
That's amazing. And so I want to talk about, because you did something great last year. I actually attended it, and it was the Juneteenth celebration that took place at York College. And I got to tell you, when I walked in there, I did not know what to expect. But when I left, I felt so different. A different level of empowerment, a different level of who we are as a community, as Black people. It was more than empowering. It was something that just was like, it was an evolution within my body. And I could not express it and explain it. And so this year you are doing that again. So Keturah, tell us about that celebration that's happening.
The celebration is a jubilee. We at BU, we know that it is so important for our communities and other communities outside of, you know, those that are Black to understand and know, to celebrate our culture. I am the chair of Culture and Community, so our culture is our cure. So when we have our people coming together and just understanding about what Juneteenth means and that how important it is to deal with your community as well as understand yourself.
Right.
That is the premise of what we've done with BU at York College Atrium. And we thank President Eanes from York College who supported us.
Right.
Also, Michelle Donaldson is another one that supported us in this movement and York College in general. We were able to bring and gather all of these parties together so that young people especially can see the educators and the elders can see, and we can learn from the elders from what they've experienced. When I was a kid, I didn't hear about Juneteenth. It wasn't celebrated. So we want to make sure with Dr. Blake as a president of BU to understand that this is important for us to know about our culture and about Juneteenth.
And thank you for sharing that. And so if you are just listening or just joining in, you're listening to Pat Robinson. We are on Conversations on the Block, and we are talking to the incredible Dr. Shango Blake and Keturah Hardy from BU. So for those who are just tuning in and didn't have the opportunity to listen to your appearance on my show last year, talk to us about what BU is.
So BU stands for Black Influencers United, and BU is for short. So it's kind of like a play on words, right?
Yeah.
Like when you know who you are and you have knowledge of self, then it's easy to be yourself. So we say BU for short. And you had said it earlier, our vision is that we serve Black educators. We influence others. We impact Black children. We have a 7-point actionable item agenda that we put before elected officials and policymakers. We are political. We understand that politics impacts our schools. And so we look at, those who are running for office or those who want our support. Will you support us and our agenda?
Right.
We're united around an agenda. So this is not Dr. Blake.
Right.
This is a collective organization of Black people united together around the agenda to push things forward. One of the results of us operating in that proactive way is that for the first time in New York City's history, we're making history by bringing forth for the first time a pre-K to 12 Black studies curriculum that'll be integrated into social studies so that when our children go to school, they will be validated by seeing themselves in the curriculum. Too many times we have been in school and we've only learned about certain Black leaders, and they're valid, they're powerful, but there's so many more. There's more than Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X.
Right.
There's Marcus Garvey, there's Booker T. Washington, there's W.E.B. Du Bois. There's more than Black people came to America as slaves, and our history begins there. Our history is before any other people on the earth, and it seems like it's been intentional to keep us knowing who we are, what we've contributed to civilization, what our Black immigrant populations have done to make America great.
Right.
There's a one-sided story. BU aims to change that trajectory and uplift Black educators as we do it.
Okay. All right, Tri-State. Did y'all take a listen to that? How is that going in reference to that curriculum? Was that an easy process? Where are we now with getting that actual curriculum in the schools and activated? Talk to us about that.
It's interesting. It's in process.
Okay.
And it's obviously something that is a heavy lift.
Yeah.
But we're lifting.
That's it.
We have 2 districts that we are doing the pilot program this year. 2 superintendents that came on, one out of District 5 and the other out of District 29 right here in Southeast Queens. And so we have already started the process of doing what we call mindset readiness training, which means that if you're going to teach the curriculum, you got to have the right mindset to teach it.
Wow.
Because remember, everybody's teaching it. It's not just Black people
Right.
teaching Black children. Every child will be
That's
exposed
right.
to it.
As they should.
As they should.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure that the right mindset is in play to teach our children this curriculum. We've already written the curriculum out and exposed these 2 districts to our pre-K band, our grade 4, our grade 7, our grade 9, and our grade 10. And we're right now editing the other grades. And so we predict that in 2024-25, you'll see the full rollout of this curriculum. But it's a lot of excitement, a lot of discussion on the ground floor, and we're so excited to be in partnership with these districts.
So you said something I think is just so important. Mindset readiness. How do you prepare someone for a mindset readiness in this space? Because I think that can apply to a lot of different careers in general. So what is that like?
Well, it's really dealing with the heart. It's dealing with implicit bias. It's dealing with stereotypes and pejoratives that we put on people that we don't understand.
Got it.
So there are those, even when I was doing a mindset readiness workshop, and I was talking, and teachers pushed back at me and said, well, why don't you be more exclusive, more multicultural? Why is it Black studies? And I had to deal with that implicit and unconscious bias.
Yeah.
And one of the things I had to share with this person was that when you include a group of people that have been historically excluded, that in fact is an act of inclusion. But anytime we talk about race, there's all kinds of emotions and feelings that come about, and we have to be real about addressing that.
Right.
You see what's happening across the country. You got Governor DeSantis in Florida.
That's correct.
He wants to, anything that is CRSC, anything that's related to black studies,
Remove it.
he's attacking, he wants to remove it. And we here in New York are bucking that trend and saying, no, we're going to not only embrace it, we're going to push it forward.
Right.
But we know that in doing that, we have pockets of people right here in New York that have the mindset of DeSantis in Florida, and we have to address that as we roll it out.
Wow. And so that sounds to me like that's a lot of, self-awareness, the ability to have direct conversation and courage in that space, and then just really thinking about the future outcome. What are you doing this for? And you have to be courageous in that space. Keturah, as we get ready for the June 19th celebration, which is actually happening when at York College?
June 17th.
June
Saturday,
17th. Okay.
11 to 3 o'clock.
Okay. Tell me about how you go about, because last year when I experienced it, there were just so many groups. I was just overwhelmed in a very favorable way. Tell us what we can expect on June 17th this year.
The same Jubilee.
Love it.
Okay, we have poets, we have artists, we have special guests. I'm going to just say Dr. Blake's mother, who is phenomenal. She has a history with Rosa Parks.
Wow.
I definitely want our young people to hear her experience as an educator. And we have other people singing, dancing, just enjoying the culture.
Yeah.
Just there to express how Black people, we are phenomenal. We are a phenomenal people.
That I know.
And when we get together, we do phenomenal things.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that this is not only Juneteenth. We want to continue the momentum.
There you go.
And this is what we're doing with BU. We want to continue the momentum. We are concentrating on actionable agenda items 2 and 6 all year. And that was the Black Studies curriculum. And also Dr. Blake has created a pipeline to have Black educators have access to other things, elevating themselves
Right.
as far as if they want to be administrators, superintendents, and so on, because our children need to see educators that look like them.
Right.
Other nationalities do it, so it should never be a problem with us, and we want to uplift our babies so that they could understand that we are prideful people and we need to do this moving forward besides Juneteenth. But Juneteenth, on June 17th, our BU celebration will be the same. It will be phenomenal and it will be uplifting for all communities to come and enjoy.
And that's open and free to any community member.
Yes.
Or just open and free to all.
it's
It's
free
open
to
and free to
all.
all. So all
Come one,
boroughs,
come one.
right?
Yes.
Come one, come all. This is a free celebration. So
Yes.
if you are looking for something to be educated around culture and awareness, please come out to this event. So now BU has just, first of all, the level of professional talent that is involved from an educational standpoint is mind-blowing. When I see I look at the
Thanks so
credentials and who's involved, like, you just want to be a part of the space, because that much intellect in one space is so empowering on its own. But talk to us, because there are multiple committees. I want people to really understand what BU has. There's policy and committee, you have advocacy. So talk to us about the different breakdown that exists in BU.
Thank you for raising that. First of all, I want to give a shout out, to the Culture and Community Committee of BU, who's putting off on this Juneteenth.
Love it.
The team that works with under Keturah's leadership here, they just do a phenomenal job. And it's indicative of how everyone is operating within their own committee. The way we structure BU is we created these committees because we wanted you to find where you fit in.
Right.
And then work towards a goal
Right.
that is the bigger vision and the agenda within your committee. So we have advocacy committee, which is led by Kaya Royal, and they're focused on raising awareness. They have a show called Black Ed Talks. They raised awareness about the plight and the value of black educators, but they also, are doing research and saying, well, wait a minute now, how many black educators do we have? How many black educators have we lost? Do black educators feel valued in the space? Right. And not only are they raising awareness, but if need be, they're putting pressure on people to say something must change.
That's right.
And they advocate for policies that are in the best interest of black children. Then we have our policy committee, led by Michelle Patterson, who is now the vice president of Black Influencers United. But that they look at policies that impact us, positive, negative, that we're interacting with the state and Albany and the city and saying that we think these policies are good. Here's some policies that we want to push forward. And here's some things that we think need to change. We have our membership committee led by Karen Reed, and we just want to give you the membership experience. We want you to know.
Which is divine, listen, I might add. It comes with a lot.
Let me promote this. Listen, we're not American Express, but if you're involved in BU, membership has its privileges.
I promise you it does.
and they're doing that work. And then we have our capacity committee. Now, this committee speaks to what Katora was talking about earlier in terms of promotion. We have entered into a relationship with New York City Schools Division of Leadership, and we want to shout out everybody over there, Chancellor Banks, Dr. Mia Teresa Pate, and the team over there, where we're really saying, hey, look, these are people that we have vetted as BU who deserve an opportunity to be a principal, who deserve an opportunity to go from, principal to superintendent or teacher to assistant principal, so that there's a real pipeline. And it really is geared towards BU members so that they know that, you have an opportunity not to be glossed over.
Right.
And then we have our newest committee, our social committee. And if you ain't been to a BU mixer, you're missing something. And we want to shout out Crystal Charlemagne. Oh, and before I do that, I want to shout out Dr. Naree Dixon and Anne-Marie Malcolm, who run our capacity committee. But Crystal Charlemagne is our newest head of a committee, social committee. They did an event in April centered around my birthday. And they're still talking about it.
Wow.
So, they have an event coming up, too, that will be at the end of June, I think June 27th.
Okay.
But again, all of these people just so committed.
Yeah.
I always say this, really, I'm a leader amongst leaders.
That's amazing.
But we're a collective group of leaders.
Yeah.
And whoever's the most qualified amongst us, when we're doing something, then the whole organization rallies behind that committee and the work that they're doing, and then they lead us. And that's why we never get tired.
That's true unity, right?
That's why we put United in the name.
That's true unity. If you haven't heard it, you've just heard it right now.
And I also wanted to say Timothy Clark and Erica Addy, they're a part of our core team with the communications.
Wow.
And they help us with the tech because Dr. Blake and I can't really do the tech the way they do it. So it's a community.
Yeah. And you know what? I've been to just a couple of small BU events, but when I walk in the room with the members, it's almost like you can't just walk in. Your presence is almost commanded to be in the best space. You don't just want to show up. You want to actually be present because you know that you are in this space with all of these people doing great things. And you want to be at your best when you come into a BU environment. That's my experience.
It's interesting. That's intentional. And I have to definitely shout out our elder. We call her Mama Roz, G. Rosalind Perdome. And she comes from, the Black Power movement of the 70s and where, Black is beautiful and Black pride. But she gave us a ritual opening and a ritual closing, and an African affirmation that we start all of our meetings and close all of our meetings with. When you walk into our space or you come into our space online, you don't come into that space without hearing the African drums. Why? Because we're leaving whatever job we left and we're coming into our own unapologetic space, and you don't just show up. So we all go through that process when we meet.
Well, I will say that it is definitely working, and it comes over your body when you come in that space. That's just really what I experienced, and I'm really proud to be a member. So now we're celebrating 50 years of hip hop. You are, bar none, the hip hop principal. Still dropping bars.
Yes.
So 2 things. Talk to us about Hip Hop 50, how this fits into the culture, Juneteenth. Where are we with Hip Hop 50 from your perspective?
Thank you for. Well, listen. Let me just say this: Hip Hop 50, I'm going to be involved in some of the activities and the things that are being planned. Working with the Universal Hip Hop
Awesome.
Museum.
They're great.
Working with Mayor Adams' administration with
Yep.
the activities that they're planning here in New York, because this is the home of hip hop.
Yes.
It can't go down without happening in New
That's
York
right.
City. You know, hip hop is Black history. It is part of it. You know, I mean, if you know the history of hip hop, if you know that blacks migrated from the South into New York City, and then we had our Caribbean brothers and sisters come in from the different islands, and this melting pot of Black excellence showed up in places like the Bronx, it was the foundation for which hip hop was born.
That's right.
I mean, if you look at DJ Kool Herc, you know, he was from Jamaica.
Yes.
And he brought with him the culture of the big, you know, bands and the
Steel drums.
DJ
Yeah, right,
booths
right.
and the sound sets. And that all set the foundation for what hip hop is.
Right.
So when you talk about Black history, you talk about, you know, diversity
Yeah.
within our own community, you know, hip hop holds a special place. It has been the voice of the voiceless.
That's right.
It is rooted in humanity, because if you know what happened in the 70s, New York was going through an economic crisis. Landlords had schemes, and they were burning down buildings and collecting insurance checks.
Yeah.
And there were people in the Bronx that said, y'all forgot us, but there's a humanity up here. So what did they do? When they looked at the burned down buildings, they replaced them with beautiful murals.
That's right.
Now, today that would be considered a quality of life crime. But if you painting something that's been burnt down and you've been kind of forgotten, and you want to let people know that you still
Still here.
exist,
That's right.
that's where the graffiti came from. So all 5 elements of hip hop is like it touches the 5
That's right.
senses
That's right.
of who we are in terms of human beings.
Yeah.
Right. And so again, you can't talk Black studies without talking about hip hop.
Look at that.
And how appropriate that Black studies comes.
That's right.
During a time that we're celebrating the 50th
That's right.
anniversary of hip hop itself.
That's right. All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot right now. I'm going to ask you, Tri-State, are you listening? Let me tell you, if you don't know, you can ready to find out. Dr. Shango Blake, drop some bars.
No pressure. All right. Hey, it's the 109 man here. Time to shine, and I'm still shining. I'm the guy who changes schools around. Still, there are those who want to put me down. You see, I brought the uniforms to the schools, and every day it's worn. Teachers teaching at a high degree using data, and that's because of me. Children smiling on their face, there's glee. My school is where they want to be. I'm a leader. Hey, man, it's crazy. Never thought in my life that one day I'd be in charge of so many young minds, counting on me almost all the time. But my father told me when I was young, one day you're going to be a leader, son. So I stepped to the plate, man, even though the haters, man, keep on hating. I'm a leader not because I want to rule. I'm a leader because I changed the schools. I'm a leader at last.
All right now, bars.
Let me tell you, if I could drop the mic, I probably would break it and we'll fall off of air. That's what I'm talking about. Tri-State. That's what I'm talking about. Hip Hop 50.
Let's go.
Leading, education, Black studies. We are out here. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. On this Sunday, you better ask somebody. Dr. Shango Blake. So listen, I want to make sure that people are aware of this amazing event, because if they come out to this amazing event, they will experience what we just heard. They're going to hear about all of these amazing opportunities, but also they're going to experience, hopefully, what I've experienced every time I walk in a BEU space, is where the environment commands your attention. So give us again the date and the time and how they can register for this free event.
Yeah.
So it's Saturday, June 17th at the York College Atrium, 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock p.m. You have to register on Eventbrite. The Instagram is Dr. Blake.
Influences you on Instagram.
Yeah, and so definitely come out and be a part of this Tri-State. Listen, I just want to encourage you to, number one, if you don't know what BEU is, definitely look them up. Check out all of the information that's on the website. It is very clear to read. It is very thorough. All of the committees that you talked about give really good insight and information. So there's no confusion about what's going on here. Like, you can go and you find the information and find where you fit in. And you know what? They do some amazing work in the communities, not just in Queens. They are all over. They are doing amazing work. And the level and intellect of the leaders that are involved in this space is just absolutely beautiful. Final words for the community.
Just be at Juneteenth. Join BU because we are growing. This is a movement. I feel like I'm in a Black Panther party. Okay? So join BU. This is a movement, and this is what we're doing for our communities and for other communities to understand that we are powerful.
Well, I just want to congratulate you for a year
Thank
doing
you.
this community
Congratulations.
program. I was
you.
one of the early ones, and
you.
it's just so great to see
Thank you.
that the work continues, and we thank you for using this platform to bring community
Absolutely.
issues to the airwaves.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining. Y'all know that y'all are officially, you've been members of the 94.7 Block family. We're looking forward to what's going to happen this year with Hip Hop 50 and all of the things that you're supporting around that. Tri-State, so as we wrap, I encourage you to engage in this upcoming celebration on June 17th between 11 and 3, no matter what ethnicity you are. Because on Juneteenth, we choose to celebrate Black joy, and everyone can participate in that. Let this collective celebration inspire you, and let us continue to fight against systemic racism and remove all barriers that feed into educational inequity. I challenge you to be intentional about co-creating spaces to reflect, concentrate, teach tolerance, and uplift our narrative to be honored and not stained. I hope to see you on June 17th at York College because that's where I'll be. Be well, take care, and meet me back here next week on The Block.
Yeah, Dr. Blizzy. You already know our culture is what it is right now. Our culture is our cure right now. Black culture, our swag, our style. Our history must be raised right now. Black children must be praised right now. This rap ain't no how now, brown cow. School systems, they're running afoul. When our children do well, you should say, ooh, child. Academic excellence, look at you now. Juneteenth, we physically free. Remain slaves, though, mentally. Break those chains. We must read from Black scholars. Yes, indeed, here's a few. Jawanza Kunjufu, Claude Anderson, and Henry Clark too. Adelaide Sanford, Maya Angelou. They came before Columbus, and that's me and you. Did you know? Well, you know right now. Our culture is our cure right now. Kill racism, emoji pow. You like the text? Then it's laugh out loud. Our culture is our cure right now. Our culture is our cure right now. Our culture is our cure right now.